Are you tired of the same old music on your commute? Want to be informed and entertained at the same time? Introducing Anchor, the easiest way to create and distribute your own podcast. With Anchor, you can record and edit your audio straight from your phone and share it with the world in just a few taps. And with Anchor's built-in tools, you can add music and sound effects, collaborate with friends and co-hosts, and even monetize your podcast with sponsored messages. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a first-time podcaster, Anchor makes it easy to share your voice and stories with the world. Download Anchor now and start podcasting today.
Music, motivation, and positively obnoxious. That's me.
It's the Tony Gabbard Show!
Hey guys, this is Tony Gephardt, and we're back again for the Tony Gephardt Show, episode number 3 for season 2. I've got one of my longtime friends here, and just like I don't even know how to put it into words. He's goofy, he's magnificent, he's a talented musician, great fucking personality. Right here in Michigan, I say right here like I'm there in Michigan. I'm definitely not in Michigan right now, but Kevin Reeves. Kevin Reeves is in the studio today. What's up, man?
How's it going? Before I start, I have to do the most important, the really pretentious people that they're like, before I sing, I must do the thing right now. Like, okay. Those guys so I have to do that right now. I have to do the really pretentious thing because I cannot start a show without doing something like, hold on a minute.
Oh,
turn on, do not disturb.
Do not disturb is off.
No. Turn on, do not disturb.
Okay.
That's the thing we have to do before every, before a show starts. Because
That's right. That is so awesome, man. It's so good to see you and hear your voice. I know it's been a little while since we've gotten a chance to get on Clubhouse and hang out and do stuff with music and stuff like that. But shoot, man, what's good? How's your weekend?
It's been good. I just got back from Traverse City. I'm now in GR. I didn't know if you knew this. Yeah, okay, you did know. Yeah. So I'm in GR, kind of in the Walker area. And I wish I was a Texas Ranger, but I'm just in Walker. So, but I had a gig. This was my first weekend to test can I jump on a Greyhound, keyboard on backpack, and go play a gig, stay at my parents' house, and then come back and figure out how to make that some kind of sustainable income. So we're it was the first experiment. So that's what I've been doing this weekend. So I got back earlier today because that bus going into GR is at like 3:45. That route's been there since.
Oh, it's been there for a hot minute.
I started taking that in 97. So it's been there. And it's so reliable. It's so damn reliable. It is just, there's something about this like little Michigan corridor.
Oh man.
From Kalamazoo up to, it's literally, you're going all the way from Kalamazoo all the way past the bridge. But man, people do this corridor all the time like it's commuter. So
it's fantastic, isn't it?
I got to get used to it because
now, do you do Indian Trails ever, or is it just Greyhound?
No, this is Indian Trails.
Okay,
I always say Greyhound because you're buying it through there, but Indian Trails. And I love it. I know 3 of the drivers. They know who I am. They know what I'm. If they spot me, they're if they spot me, they're all up in my business, and it's great. We're all chatting and talking, and
there you go.
Anyway.
That's awesome.
What's where I've been, or what I've been doing this weekend, but
that's good.
You're hanging. I was
going
to say something to you and I forgot what it was. So I guess maybe if you get a call at 3 a.m, I'll be like, hey man, I remember you might 11 labs, my voice in saying a certain thing.
There you go, man. That's actually one of the hot topics right now is like all of the AI that's been floating around, man. And I got to say, ChatGPT, for one, I've been using it religiously actually for productivity at my work. And I'll just give you like an example. Some people would call it lazy, but truth is you still got to know what the hell you're prompting it to do. You got to go in and actually make corrections. You can't always trust what the machine learning puts out. So you have to make those changes. But I'll give you an example. Like I have to do a lot of monthly reports and a lot of documentation for my job. Generally takes me hours to do so. But I experimented with this and did about 6 hours of work in 45 minutes.
Yep. It's
like that.
It's this 80-20 rule. Anybody look, everybody needs to go, if you're interested in things like this, because there are people that just think that a bunch of us sit here and blather about nothing we talk about this 80-20, but read the 4-Hour Work Week. It's the greatest mind hack you'll ever read, by Tim Ferriss. But we need to think about like using this stuff to hack our lives for the better and the better of people around us. So people have always been kind of on this, like, this technology is going to kill this technology. This technology is going to ruin this technology, right? And so I look at this and I go, no, but look what we're doing. Look what we're able to say. Hey, look, I've got brain width, mental bandwidth for a certain thing, but I've got to go in and figure out a bunch of minutia that I just don't have the bandwidth for. But yet now I can go onto this computer and say, look, can you just narrow down my universe of possibilities? That's really all this AI stuff is doing for a lot of us.
Sure.
It's not, it's just narrowing down the universe of possibilities of things that you could, and give you an idea. Here's something that is a possibility for you to look at. Now, if your attitude is I need not do nothing because, in the, what is that song, in the year 2525, where they're talking about a pill doing it, everything you do and say is on the pill that you took today or whatever. So some people are going to be douchey like that. They're like, fine, I got AI, Chat GPT, copy, paste, and I don't need to do nothing because I shouldn't have to. And then you're just cheating yourself or your clients or whatever it is that whatever work you're trying to do.
Right.
But the people that are like, I could really use the help. Let me give you an example. Matt Turner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Matt Turner sent me a text message yesterday and he goes, look at this. This is what I told it to make. I'm making an Air Gigs profile.
Woo.
And he said, I want to make a thing for backing tracks. And why not? I read it. It's fine. I would hire that guy. Well, I'd hire him anyway.
Yeah.
But it's fine. There's nothing. Are we gonna look at a guy like Matt Turner, who's like this brilliant musician and wants to get some work, and why should he take 45 minutes out of his day to maybe he's not comfortable writing about himself. A lot of us aren't.
Yeah.
Like, well, what the hell am I going to write? Why should I sit here and...
It's assistive, right? I mean, and I think that's just is the mindset of looking at it from an assistive standpoint.
Because
not to interject, sorry, like this.
No, but if you're in my shoes and you're depressive,
yeah,
and you have a choice between giving up or maybe allowing a computer to point you in a direction that's going to get you more towards that dopamine hit. If you're me, you're giving up. If you're me, you're going to go, screw it. I'm going to go lay in bed. I don't want to. Do you know how many times that I've like wanted to put something together that was like, maybe I had to go out of my comfort zone in my most depressive state. And it could have been the thing that like bore me some amazing fruit. And I said, screw it. It's too much work. And if we lighten the load just a little bit, because I was lucky enough to have a good day of writing where I felt okay making an Air Gigs profile. That was a long time ago. It worked for me. But if I'd had that today, I would have done exactly what Matt did.
Right.
Absolutely exactly.
Hell yeah.
And then I would have sent it to my friends and go, I wrote this in Chat GPT. What do you think? And if Matt, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry I didn't respond. I was on a bus. But I did share it on Facebook, so that counts.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just it, brother. I'm telling you, it's all mentality that surrounds it. Like, I wrote an entire business plan for Fright Night Media, my multimedia company. I spent 2 hours sitting down, feeding GPT all of the operations, every aspect of my business, what it does, what it stands for, its publishing, its backstory, its trajectory, everything. And it gave me an entire business plan that I can go in and tweak, make little subtle changes, but it did probably 10 hours of work in about 2 hours.
Yep.
I'm just telling you, like, that's what I'm talking about. And look at me now, right? Like, look at us. We're still motivated. We're still feeling it. But it's like having an assistant.
It is. And again, when you're like me that can get dragged down by a bunch of things that are unmotivators, because
mental health, that's what this podcast stands for.
Health journey, right? So
yeah,
like think of how can we use ChatGPT to hack our mental health? I'm all over this because now if I'm losing executive function, which is a lot of times, I can go to the computer and go, okay, so I'm going to either not make a decision because somebody asked me to write a bio, and now I'm going to get all butthurt and sabotagey about it, self-sabotaging, and go, well, what the hell am I going to write about? I'm really nobody, and I don't blah, 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 blah. But I go to a computer, and it gives me that little bit of, here's what you can write because here's the information you gave me. I'm just spitting it back in a different order so you can look at it, and maybe it'll jangle the neurons a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is perfect. I can do this. And then look what you just did, Yeah. And I'm thinking about ways we can hack this, for the betterment of others. I've had Sean Keane over at Total Tech Solutions.
Great guy. Shout out to you, Sean. Yeah.
ChatGPT script suggestions for a radio ad.
Oh man, it does so well.
So now it's not like he doesn't have to be like, can you write an ad that has bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point? And then I go and I take that and I go, okay, so I'm going to connect these bullet points with words like and, the, blah, blah, blah. Or he says, here's kind of what I'm thinking. I had this do this in like 5 minutes. And then I gave it to my girlfriend. And so here, now watch this. This is how the seed germinates. Sean does a thing on ChatGPT. He says, I need this down to 30 seconds. We're all twisting our heads going, how the hell are we going to do this? I give this to my girlfriend, and then she writes up a whole other permutation of this, which started from a ChatGPT that somebody sent in Texas. And then it turned into a script that's being slowly, we're adopting into a couple of different radio ads. But that's where it goes, like ChatGPT equal plus humans equal things that work. So, yes. And I've been really messing with 11 Labs. I've been doing a lot of 11 Labs.
Oh, isn't it great?
It's
something else.
And I've got a bunch of ideas on how my brain is going 90 miles an hour because
it usually does.
I had this thought. Everybody's worried about 11. So here's an example, like, Mike Moran.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have Mike Moran doing Sean's, but it goes back to Sean's daily. And so he gave me 2 reads of a script that was written in ChatGPT. He did give me 2 reads of that script, which I used like 99% of it. Then what I did was I took both of those takes and I knocked them into 11 Labs, and then I took Mike's voice, and Sean would put up to like, can you now make it say coupon code this guy? Okay. So I just do this and I just do this and I just do this. And I'm thinking in my head as a content creator, I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing this and this is very convenient and this is helping me out. But look at all the money that Mike's losing. Yeah. Because essentially, and I already talked to Mike and I said, hey man, I want to clone your voice. And I just need to be able to use you. I don't want you to have to feel like you have to go back and, because this is like a friend doing something for a friend, and I'm not going to be like, because I'm doing some barter work from him, but I'm not going to be like, here, do 8 more permutations of this that we just came up with.
Right.
As I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, wait a minute, there is a way to do this honorably. We've got to redraw up like contracts. So if you go in Nashville, if you live in Nashville, there's a system of it's like this payment system that happens where if I sing on a demo, so there's like, a country songwriter maybe or whatever who can't sing very well but wants a song pitchable, they need me to sell it to the publisher that's going to get Jason Aldean to cut it or whatever, right? So I'm just like the demo singer. I get paid a lower rate. But if I'm like, let's say a guitar player in Nashville wanted to do a record, but he doesn't know any singers, he's not a singer, sorry. And he gets a bunch of people to sing on a record. And he goes, I wrote this song. I want you to sing on this record. I get a higher rate because that's a master recording. So now let's look at a contract for voiceover work. I hire you for a certain amount of reads for, however many minutes of audio at a price. And then I'm going to tack on if I feel like I want a couple more hours or a couple more minutes of audio tweakable AI, so AI corrected minutes of audio, I should still pay you for, because that is your voice, that is your intellectual property. Mm-hmm. So what if this was like what if somebody set up a clearinghouse of, like, so for example, Audible, you get Audible narrators to sign an agreement that says, we want to take all of your books that you've narrated and turn them into a voice print. And we want to make this available to Audible Creative Exchange. So for a lower price, a book or an author can say, I want Jeff Hayes to narrate my book, but I don't have a Jeff Hayes budget, but I don't want Jeff Hayes not to get paid for that.
Right.
So what we do is you work out this thing where Jeff Hayes narrates a book via AI. It is a lower price for this person. It's not going to be perfect because it's not a performance. It is a generated audiobook. So the cost for that to happen for that author is much cheaper. But then Jeff Hayes is making a little bit while he sleeps.
Right. It's still residual, it's
still residual that will never ever replace somebody hiring Jeff Hayes for the real deal and saying, I need you to do a book with all your characters. That's not ever going to replace that. But if we could say, I want something a little better than Microsoft Sam, and then maybe a voiceover guy gets paid for it. Imagine that in the world of audio description.
Do you well, actually, that was one thing I wanted to get into here in a minute. Do you think Amazon, because we've already seen Microsoft invest over $1 billion in Chat GPT, do you think Amazon is going to make that next step and make an investment in one of these AI tools?
Let's find out. Alexa, do you think Amazon will make an investment in Chat GPT? Alexa, stop. I'm glad I didn't have a gate go. I don't even know what you heard, but you know what? We queried the Oracle and it let us down.
Yep. So I want to talk to you really quick about that whole audio description thing.
Yes.
Because one thing I was thinking about, and I want to get your take on this, because I know you probably have an amazing perspective on this, is GPT-4 has been trialed and has been utilized, and I pay for GPT Plus, so I've been using GPT-4, and they've been implementing that in Be My Eyes and in Vision AI, some of those apps for the blind. And though they are not as available for public use, they have been showing some previews. Do you think that instead of using Ira, we can start using Chat GPT-4 to describe our surroundings?
Yes, and here's why. And this is a polarizing topic to some, but I think most people are on our side. We all know that Ira is not necessarily priced for the 99.9 percenters, right? So we realize that in economics, understand that when you have a brilliant service that you charge, unfortunately, way too much for, people who are probably smarter than their own good are going to try to undercut you. So understand that, like, what's going on, exactly what you're talking about is this response to, because anybody who's like thinking that we should, I really think we got to find a way to undercut Ira, but I don't think this stuff should be free either. Unless it's volunteer. Like, obviously Be My Eyes is volunteer. But if we had a really good set of mobile like virtual interpreters, visual interpreters, that were priced at a point where it was almost like a rideshare service, but you're paying for it, so you're getting a little bit higher quality, or consistent quality. Because let's be real. There are some amazing people on Be My Eyes that could literally run circles around some of the Ira agents.
Oh, there really is. Absolutely.
So like, my whole thing is, I want to see all of this happen, and I still want to see people get paid for this. Right. Like, this is a service that we need rendered. And how do we pay for that service in a way that's convenient for us? Because it's one of these things where I do believe that, I don't know where the disconnect is, where you put a service out and you you know that you've got a lot of blind people who are, on these fixed incomes, and you've priced them in a place where, and I'm not even going to be like, look, people can whine all they want about things. They need to be free because I'm on a fixed income. And that's not even where we're going. We're going to the place where, like, most of my friends who have better jobs than I do are saying, I can't afford it. And I'm just I'm a musician, man. I live the 1099 life, right?
The 1099 life. That's right.
My life is, I live 1090 blind, right?
That's
right.
right.
I almost said it like Kenneth Journey, blind.
Yeah.
So it's this thing where, like, there's a bunch of us that can't afford it. And instead of bitching about it, we're like, there's a bunch of us that are actively figuring out, like, we've been doing Clubhouse experiments where we've been sharing our route with people on Apple Maps and being on FaceTime and walking through like a street and going, what do you see? Can we get us to the place we're trying to go? Because we're trying to figure out how to hack it together. Because if you're a 99.9%er like me, you're doing everything with tape and twine.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make brilliance out of nothing.
Right.
And so somebody's going to figure this out. Be My Eyes is well on its way, and I wish that Be My Eyes would be able to eventually incorporate some other interesting services that, because really Be My Eyes is showing itself to be this like modular Lego blocks kind of formula where it's like, well, first it started with like a little basic video call on your phone. Then it went to now we can do the Microsoft thing where we can get you into your Google account, or we can help you with if you're not getting speech. And then it's like adding this, and then they're like the services they're incorporating from are these other modules. Like here, we just put the AI module in.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put the blind square module in.
Maybe they will, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, could you see this happening as it unfolds? Like, all they need to do is just think about like what do we want it to do, and where can we just acquire and partner with some other people to acquire some tech and but those guys are brilliant. Oh,
they are. Absolutely. Alexander over at Be My Eyes. He's just down to earth, humble, innovative, very smart. I will say
I'm not a fan. I've never been a fan of the name. I think that if I were him and I were doing branding, I would have called it something like Visicist. Be My Eyes really just kind of sounds, it has always sounded custodial, but again, I'm really just an ideas guy, not a businessman. So I come up with all these ideas and I throw them out, and names and branding and little flourishes of words are kind of
something you're good at. Yeah.
And so Visicist. Now we had one called Be Specular, and that was a little bit weird because it sounded like Be Speculum, and I'm not sure how I felt about that. It was a little. But I guess it worked great. That's the one I never used. I always used Tap Tap C, which I renamed to which Keurig K-cup is this?
Yeah, right. So I have a question for you. This one is a topic that I think both you and I can relate to. So as a musician myself, and I want to talk about your music here in a minute too, because I want to spotlight that on the podcast and maybe play a song at the end. Is that as a musician myself, right? One of the biggest things that we rely on, especially as blind content creators and musicians, is we struggle with the graphics designing. We usually have to find somebody else on our team or, do some outsourcing work, maybe through Fiverr or maybe through, a personal friend who is a graphics designer to envision a logo or a design, album artwork, whatever it may be. And now we're seeing DALL-E AI and we're seeing Runway. We're seeing all these AI tools that are text to image generators. And with the addition of ChatGPT 4, with those tools, I feel like within 365 days or less, a blind person will be able to create and design their own graphics design for a project, have it described in intricate detail as alternative text and for verification, publish it without any assistance from sighted eyes at all.
So I was thinking about this. A couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
And this is before I knew anything about AI. I was like, because I didn't know anything about machine learning. I just thought, well, so here's what I was thinking about. Imagine a company that you went on this. So let's take, I always order from a company called gotprint.com. They're brilliant, but I hire sighted people to design my thing. I say I need a card done, and they say, "What? Okay, where am I going?" I say, "Go to Gotprint. Look at those. Look at those templates, what they require, and then just make me something and whatever." And I pay them for it. But imagine if I went onto a site like Gotprint, and there was some kind of tool where it that was accessible, where you could say, "I'm making a flyer," and it would do a wizard. So it would start with, the first line in a flyer looks like this, and it has a large font, and it is usually your title. Type what this is what you're going to type here. And so what it's doing is it's telling you what a visual rule of thumb is. Usually here at the top, we put a photo. Would you like to add one? If so, browse. Then what it does is it takes all of this data and like shrinks the photo down. And then it tells you things like, okay, a lot of times you can see text wrapping around the inside of the photo. With your next block of text, where would you like it to go? Under, to the right, to the left, around, inside? And then it's looking to say, here's the problem. The opacity of this photo is blocking the text. We are going to need to change the opacity. And you explain these visual concepts. There are some people that don't understand them. I've been blind my entire life, but I'm a 100% synesthete. So because of all of my synesthesia, I understand visual concepts, even though in a really bizarro, surrealistic way that I could never really explain to people. But I understand them in a way that works for my brain. So if I had it's like, if you're going to make an album cover with track listings, it could give you some examples. It could say, here's some of the most common ones. The tracks going around the CD, or the tracks going here, whatever. The 90s just called about their CDs. Why the hell did I just bring that up? AI with making a CD. What the hell is wrong with this?
There you go. Yeah, now we got 3D printers infused with AI.
Now let's take that a step further. We're talking about business card, flyer. What about a WordPress theme?
There you go. Yeah.
You go in and you imagine somebody like Amanda Rush building something like this. So it's like this AI generated plugin that obviously still requires people to manage it. So it's not like we're trying to put Amanda out of a job, but imagine a whole thing where it's a theme generator. And it says, would you like your header on the left, right, or top? And it explains to you, instead of just giving you a bunch of radio buttons that says header position, it explains to you what this would look like. And so it would say, you can have your links that people see go across the top, or you can have them go down the left side. And as you make these decisions, and maybe you just say, I don't care, do whatever, but it's doing it with a bunch of machine learning. So if I say, I'm a rock musician that sounds like Motley Crue, and we use that as not that we're going to build a website that looks like Motley Crue, but we take all of that data. Well, what's Motley Crue's branding logos look like? What does that all look like? And we go, okay, so you're looking for that kind of badass 80s metal hair guy, okay, we're going to make a website like that. And it does it really well.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why we couldn't do any of this.
No, absolutely. I mean, when you look at all the tools that are there, you have GPT, which can do all of the textual based research to understand the descriptive elements, the visuals, and then you implement that with something like Dolly AI or Mind Generator or Runway or all these other tools, and you build that API, right? And you build that platform, because all of these AI tools have almost 99% of them have open source APIs, which essentially, for those who don't understand, that basically means you can access the code, the inner workings of those machine learning tools, so that you can implement them into your workflow, so you can build the product.
My thought on this is, you've seen Alan Holst's rooms on Clubhouse. Have you seen him? He's got his crowdsourced blindness solutions thing on Monday night, and there's a bunch of esoteric topics that they talk about. Everything from using Clubhouse with voiceover to taking pictures of grocery items in a grocery store so that you get your assistants giving you the right food. It's brilliant. The stuff that he comes up with is brilliant. Now he has this concept of there are two things in the world when it comes to how to, when we make stuff work on a computer. There's a tool and a handle. And if you don't have either, you can't make the thing run. So the AI is all the tools. These are all the little tools, the saws, the blades. What we're doing is hacking together handles. So we're saying, how do we make something that uses the tool to drill the hole to do the thing? And so instead of people sitting back and going, somebody needs to make a thing that does something, something, we can literally, 5 of us log on to Clubhouse and go, I don't know anything about this. How does this work? Can we make this? Well, we can't, but maybe we can bring somebody in who's willing to talk to us about how. And then somebody figures one little thing out. Look at the Reaper community. People are talking all day long about hey, I just built a Reaper script for this guy that does a weird thing and then remortgages your home and then like puts the bat signal up on the moon. And it's the thing that somebody really needed for their show or their recording. And it literally like took 80 minutes off of their day.
Yeah, there you go.
This is what's beautiful is we don't have to sit back and hope a developer does something.
Right.
We can literally walk up next to a developer and go, is this possible? And if it is, what kind of money are we talking? And where do we get that? And this is new things that I'm thinking about and I know nothing. And I don't want to see about it. I want to be about it. And there's a lot of this I don't know.
Man, I got a segue for a slight second. So I was watching some YouTube videos and I always watch AI content all the time. And I think everybody should just keep up to date with all the new tools out there. And as a side note, a shameful plug for a website called Future Tools IO. What they do is they will list all the new AI tools that are coming out in real time. And you can find them. It'll organize them in various lists as far as paid, unpaid, freeware, all sorts of descriptions, completely accessible for screen reader users. But anyways, one of the videos I was watching was how to make instant money with AI. Right. And we're now seeing all of these artificially ran businesses. I'll give you an example. There was one called Remade, and what they do is they build custom resume templates that they sell online, and they make on an average. It's such a clever idea. Like this business, they make $30,000 average a month alone on this business model, and you're talking a 90% profit margin. I mean, what are we doing? You know what I mean? And it only requires maybe 30% you, 70% AI, right? Plugging the ideas into ChatGPT, taking those and then taking them to DALL-E AI to work on designs, then take that and throw it in Canva, whatever it might be, like all these little things. And boom, you put it on the website, which was designed by AI. And there you go. You've got a product, you've got a logo, you've got a slogan, you have a mission, you have a vision, everything all done. And you're making residual income just like that.
And here's the thing. People can think about this as being lazy, but I'm telling you, like, it is a lot of work. I mean, it is. Like if you sat down for somebody to say, I'm going to build a business, generating business off of AI, you know what I mean? Like, and imagine, the early, remember that website InstaSong?
Yes, I do.
You fill out this form like a Mad Libs, and then what it does is it asks you all these questions, and then it puts in these songs, like it puts it together as this one vocal performance, and it's got the guy's name in it, and it's got the like happy birthday. JJ Meadows sent me one that was brilliant. It was like you're smoking more weed today, and you have horrible gas, and blah blah blah. Happy birthday, Kevin. Right. So we look at this brilliant service. Somebody had to build that. Do you know how long that took to build? And so imagine like the people nowadays, like the trial and error and having to keep tweaking these things to do what you want it to do. And imagine this being like the vehicle that gets you, like, it's actually ironically the thing that gets you off the couch. Because if you say, I can't do anything, but then you discover these little tools that go, wait a minute, this just helped me write an old bio. And now I'm thinking about my life as a content creator doing whatever it was I was going to teach video on quilting or whatever it was. Wait a minute. So then they're inspired. And now they've done all their logos with AI. They've done a lot of their video content with AI. But what ends up happening? Somebody across the world is reuniting with their mother on watching a YouTube video, learning how to quilt. You see what just happens here?
Yeah.
Like the Rube Goldberg effect that occurs if we start taking these tools and try to use them, for good, and like to forward other people and to forward ourselves positively in a healthy way. We don't need to be using this technology to stomp other people.
No.
And I'll tell you that I've messed with 11 Labs, and I have learned that we can use this. It's just occurred to me as we're messing with this and watching some of the YouTube videos, we can use this technology to lift somebody up or completely lay them low. I mean, you can with the click of a mouse, the double tap of your finger, you can lay waste to someone's character.
This is where we need Uncle Ben coming in and saying, with great responsibility, or with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes. And it's true.
It is. It absolutely is.
There are people that I'm seeing in my life right now that are bullying others.
Yeah.
And I can't handle it.
I can't handle it either.
And there's a part of me that's like, dude, I could shut this guy down with a little bit of AI and a remix. And is that really necessary?
Yeah.
I thought about it.
Right. Absolutely. Right.
I thought about it. I should be indicted just for that much. Like horrible things that I could have this person say. And some of it is actually not AI'd.
Yeah.
So anyway, we really need to, we have to gird ourselves.
Well, let's be really honest. We are in the infancy stages of this new era of artificial intelligence and machine learning. And truth be told, I mean, it's just like the dawn of social media, right? In 2004, 2005, maybe even a little bit before then, when we saw MSN and instant messaging, when Facebook and Twitter first really started coming around, and people were like, oh my God, I can actually talk to this person from across the world. And, then we saw fake profiles coming up. People would, be instigating different opportunities for slander and all these other things. But this goes into the same thing I've been talking about for so long, and it's all mentality. You can either use this for good or you can use this for bullshit.
Yep.
That's it. Nothing else.
So let's talk about the word good, because I was doing a gig on Saturday for this local ministry in Traverse City called Single Mom, and they do a lot of stuff for a lot of people that have a lot of problems.
That's awesome. Good on you.
It's like it is like they have pulled people out of more train wrecks than they probably can shake a stick at. What this ministry has done to these folks. Anyway, the woman that ran it, after I play, they always do like this presentation. I'm sitting in the back and I'm listening, and it's this beautiful story. Her talking about Chronicles of Narnia. And she's talking about a good book to read with your kids. It's a Mother's Day event talking about, whatever. And she talks about, and I love Chronicles of Narnia, but I've not read it all the way through. So there's a bunch I don't know. And she hit on something that I did not know. And it's a line that drilled into my head. And she said, so they say they're having a conversation, and I can't remember where or who. And they say, tell me about this Aslan. Is he safe? And somebody goes, not safe, but good. And sometimes what we do, we have to understand, we have to be willing that some of it's not safe, but it has to be good. It's almost like chaotic, like the chaotic good in like role playing, where it's okay sometimes we have to be kind, we have to be uplifting, we have to be all of this, but sometimes it's okay when we know that it needs to happen to be a little bit unsafe and stare into the face of things that shouldn't be existing.
It's like facing your fears. I mean, let's cross that into mental health, right? Like when you are face to face and persevering through an obstacle, yes, it's going to be unsafe. But at the end of the day, in order for you to prevail through that, you have to be willing to take that step and say, I can do this, and I'm not going to let this overpower me.
And sometimes we have to do things and say things that other people might think are unsafe. Mm-hmm. That's unsafe. No, yeah, it is unsafe, but it's good. It has to be said. And there's things that are baking in my noodle about some of our culture, and I'm not going to go there, but it's stuff that I really think we all deserve better for each other. Right. I think part of what needs to happen is there needs to be an education of how are we going to allow others to treat us? Man, I had a 3-hour conversation with Derek Lane. Man,
good guy. Shout out to Derek. Yeah.
And I was going on and on about an injustice that's occurring in my social circle. And and in my eyes, it's a grave injustice and it's not right. And he said, you know what? It comes down to you. What are you going to allow? And so sometimes if you decide that there are things in your life that you're not going to allow anymore, that is unsafe, because now you're standing up and saying, I really believe that this has to be said. Because now if you're just one of these guys that's like, well, I'm brutally honest, and if you don't like it, well, you just don't, you either like me or you hate me. I do not want to be that guy.
No, absolutely not.
Because I don't think that that's what this is. I think it needs to be, there are times where we have to be gentle, like most of the time. I really believe that. But then there are moments where we have to say, not on my watch. Right. And it's other people at risk, and so
standing up to bullies,
it's standing up to these kind of, these things that we're seeing around us and the way people are being treated. And so we are allowing things in our culture, especially in the blindness culture, that we shouldn't be allowing for ourselves.
Man, that brings up a really interesting point. I've been talking about this in various communities and different game chats and, just trying to stir up the conversation, because let me start with this. We're a minority. Number one, whether we want to embrace or accept that, we are. From a societal standpoint, based on American standards, we are considered a minority within the disabled community. Add on top of that, we are a minority within a minority, because we are in the disabled community, but we are our own brand, if you will. Now, I'm sure there's going to be disagreements on that. That's fine. But that's the way I see it. And because of that, what happens? What do people naturally do when they feel vulnerable? You either lay down and hide, or you're an animal, right? And then there's that percentage of people in the middle that want to do what's right and try and balance things, right? So what I'm getting at is there's a superiority complex problem that I've seen within the blindness community across the spectrum, where those who receive SSI and those who receive wages and who work, there's a line right there where people in those two categories are at war with each other in some shape or form, right? Do you see what I'm saying?
I absolutely do. And yeah, it's like
my question is why, right?
I know exactly. Well, I know why for me.
Let me hear your take on it.
So I'm one of those assholes. Can I say that word? If not, will you cut it out?
No, please. Like I said, this is a free speech podcast.
I have gone on record for years as being a judgy-wudgy asshole in a lot of things. And after going through my mental health thing that I'm still going through, you never arrive. If you think you've arrived in mental health transformation land, you're barking up the wrong false. You're barking up the false positivity.
That is a lifelong journey.
So do not do not fall down the toxic positivity rat hole of we're always riding this, right?
Always.
So when I went through this mental health thing, I realized the reason that I was so difficult as a musician, as a person, judgy to other blind people, had nothing to do with any of the people around me. It is because I have my entire life have dealt with a overwhelming sense of imposter syndrome,
yes,
whatever you want to call this, RSD, rejection sensitivity disorder,
sure.
Feeling like a pile of garbage. And so when you feel when you walk into a space and your back is already up because you feel like you don't belong there. So the thing you feel like, well, what's the, you're kind of thinking in your head, well, what's the one thing I know really well?
Right. You're gonna gravitate towards something that you can show off or something that you can put on display.
Because when I walk into a room, I never, the thing is, like, I don't have a hang up as a musician or anything like this. And I know some people have this thing where they'll hear somebody that's amazing and they go, well, shit, I should just quit. Whatever. I that's never been my hang up. I always love being in a room with my betters. Where I have the hang up is that when I feel like I'm always surrounded by people that are cooler than me. And it's my perception. But if I'm in a room with people that are singers, songwriters, and they are, which I have been, I spent 3 months with them, and I was probably a complete and utter maniac to be around.
Right.
Because these people, like, in my brain, were way fucking cooler than I would ever be. I walked in there and I felt like, as a musician from a calculated standpoint, I can rock a room playing Benny and the Jets and all the entertainment stuff, because that's what I did as a cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
I walked into a room with songwriters and they outgunned me. They were the most amazing songwriter. Not only that, but they knew how to communicate as a person, and they knew all of this. Like, they knew their audience. They knew what they were after. They knew I just knew what I could do. Like, I can play 90 notes a minute. I can, or I try. So what did I do? I kind of, when you feel that woefully inadequate, you take the shred route.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go, and you say, I can fucking shred this right now.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you become this really difficult person, not necessarily because you wake up every day thinking you're the greatest musician, but because you wake up every day thinking you are severely outgunned.
Correct. So let me throw something at you.
Go ahead.
Right? Because you and I struggle somewhat with the same thing. Me on a different end, right? Because as a guitar player who's been, I've got albums under my belt. You've got albums under your belt. We both have been in front of audiences. We both have been in and out of bands and have had, various points of success in our own individual careers. But let's talk about that word success for a minute. Okay, this is a common topic. I feel like that comes up a lot on the show with every guest that I have, but it also is something that I see a lot just in general with individuals who are on that mental health journey, because we, in a lot of ways, especially as artists, we put our emotions, we put our feelings, our experiences, our vulnerabilities, our aggression, everything on display when we play music. And to the average listener, that's not always apparent. But as artists, there is a certain amount of vulnerability that comes. And I believe in so many facets of being, I guess, in these pairs of shoes, right, is that sometimes I think we shape our own version and reality of success. That too. There you go. We shape our version and reality of success based on what we've seen in other people. And I think that's wrong.
It is the one thing that has driven me to the point of hating this business and having to admit to an outpatient psychiatric facility that you are ideating. It's exactly what you were just talking, like that very thing.
Yeah.
Because you know what? So, you know, when I talked a minute ago, spending 3 months with musicians and feeling outgunned.
Yeah.
You know what the crazy part about that is?
Huh.
They never made me feel that way. You know what it is? I was a terrible receiver.
Reciprocation
of gifts.
Yeah.
Because you know what I had people saying to me? They said it wasn't people, you know, the people that were in my life at that time. They weren't saying things like, "Yeah, dog, this is the greatest song I've ever heard, man. It's gonna be #1 hit," right? You think that's what an accolade you think you might want to hear. But when you have somebody grab your hands and say, "This is a really good song. You should be proud of it because it affected someone."
Yes.
I think if somebody tells you something like that, like this moved me to something, you should already know that the ball has already started moving down the ramp on the Rube Goldberg machine. And success is... it has to be, you have to figure out what that lens looks like for you.
Well, let's talk about this. In addition to that, right? Because you make a huge valid point. I think another huge part of success is who the fuck are you spending time around? Right? Like, and maybe you can resonate with this, but I believe that if I want to be successful, because it's my version of success, not anybody else's, it's mine. And then it's yours. I want to make sure that I surround myself with people who are genuinely going to tell me, "Hey, man, you did a great job today. I'm proud of you. You did a great job." And then in return, I do the same because it's an equal 50-50 recipient involvement when being in a community or when being in a group, like being in a band or being in a business or a career. Like, you want to surround yourself with people who have equal minds. Like, I tell you all the time, like, "Kevin, I love this fucking song." And because that's me giving you a genuine, like, "Hey, this song actually genuinely touched me and I like it. I can sit back, I can listen to it. It tells me a story in my own way." And that's me giving you that affirmation, right? Because my love language has always been words of affirmation. Big one. Always has been.
So I want to, so this is, you're absolutely right. But I also think we need people on the other side, and we need people that are willing to tell us that something is not good. We need the bad rhyme police. We need the bad chord police. We need the really cold solo police. But they need to be people who are doing it because they're walking alongside of you on this record, not because they just heard it in a chat room on the internet. You're like, "That solo sucks." Right.
You want constructive criticism and constructive feedback from somebody who has respect for you.
And I'll tell you, so I have a tune on one of my records, and there's a solo on it that I hastily had somebody play. And I convinced myself that it was good. It is a good solo, but I convinced myself that it was the best for the song somehow. And Ian Baird, who played drums, bass, and guitar on that record, said, "This solo is cold and lifeless, but it's your record." Problem is, the record was already out. You know, we were in the mastering process.
What record are you referring to?
Well, I'm not going to say because I don't want to. It has nothing to do with the player.
Fair enough.
It was, and it was somebody I haven't spoken with in a really, really long time that did the solo, and they're a brilliant guitar player. But after going through the record and we're listening to it, he goes, "I love this record. I think that solo is cold, and I think it's lifeless," and it pissed me off. But then it's like, if I think back and I go, what was really that solo that was in my head is not the one that's on that record. I think if the solo that was in my head were to have actually made it on that record, even if the note choices maybe weren't technically potentially what Ian would have liked, or I would have gone a different direction or whatever. You know how that works.
Yeah.
He would have heard my head and go, "Okay, that would totally be a solo that he would put in there, and that makes perfect sense for the song." Right. But when I hastily crafted something out of something, and people see through it.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to see through it because you don't want them to. You don't want that. You don't want your people to have your number, but you should. They have to. There's a song. There's a band called 11, Eleven. It spells it out. It's one of the greatest bands ever. There's a song called All My Friends, and the lyrics are so damn simple. Who's there to shut me up? Who's there to shut me up? All my friends. All my friends. Who's there to hear me out? Who's there to hear me out? All my friends. All my friends. You need your friends to be like, that is the greatest solo you have come up with in a very long time, and I know you struggled with it, and I know you were like, you didn't even want to do it, and I think that's great, and you journeyed through that, and that is phenomenal. Or to say, I can tell that was a copy paste job. Is this true? And you go, yeah. But we can't look. We don't know how to make perfect records. We just know how to make the thing that we know how to make. And then when we make the next record, we find less and less wrong with it.
That's right.
Because we find more and more right within ourselves as a composer. And then we keep going and going. And I took about a 10-year break, but that's a whole thing. But the thing is that you want your people to be able to give you the accolades that are necessary, the feedback that you need, and also to give you the pushback that you need and go, you can, I promise, you can do this better. One time Ian sent me a song. It was one of the Spring Clock Wonder records. And I said, this is, you know what? I've always loved this song, but you're sharp. And I don't think he liked that very much. And it was not, I wasn't even trying to be that, yo, bro, I'm being brutally honest, man. If nobody, if I didn't tell you this, nobody will, man. It was literally like, I love this song, and there is a note that's out, and it's distracting me. And you're a great singer. I don't have a, you know what I mean? Like, I'm telling from a musician who loves your music, there's a note that's out, and you know what? He voiced his opinion or whatever on the phone a long time. I don't even remember what the conversation was. And he didn't really like, it was like, all right, I guess. I mean, whatever you say. I mean, okay, well, the Beatles were sharp. I mean, you know, so, and that is a very good answer. And so I left it alone. I was like, okay, well, you know, I don't control, you know, what he eats doesn't make me shit. I'm just being his buddy. And I love this tune. And there's like a couple of parts of it that are just distractingly out. Yeah. And I'll be damned if he didn't release the record and he did fix it. Oh. And it wasn't that much. It wasn't like make or break. I wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, I don't even know if he recut it or if he just bumped the tuning down. It doesn't matter. It was perfect. Like it was where it was in the parameters of where the brain goes, that note, that beautiful chord right there is on now. Oh God. Because he has these great, like kind of seventh, you know, these in this song has some kind of interesting kind of dynamic, like dominant seven here and there. And there's this beautiful like melody that's going on in twining with that. And I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. And it's just out by like, I don't have perfect pitch. So I'm not saying, so in bar 25, like beat 4, tick 453, when you say the word gold, it's sharp. The brain is just going, no, dude, this is so beautiful. And there's this one spot that just keeps going. And all I'm doing is pointing it out. And he can choose to fix the or not. Because it's his record. If he wants the on there, he should.
There you go.
And he fixed
Everybody needs a little, you know, there you go.
Oh, God. The record is full of, you know, things that I never.
So listen, man, we've already gone over an hour. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I apologize. I hope you.
No apologies, bro. We're doing this again. Hey, listen though, before we even close out, wow, you're probably one of the best guests that we've had on the show. As far as people listening to your music, let's talk about that. Where can we find the music?
Okay, so if you go to kevinreeves.net, I have a link tree up there. And it just has everything on it. Instead of doing this like website thing where it's like, welcome to the official home of Kevin Reeves. Poke around, see what you like, buy something in the store, click like. instead of doing that, I just have this thing that just is my whole tree of links. And there's Spotify and Amazon and all of the other streaming services up there, as well as Bandcamp. And there's my Air Gigs profile for hiring musician work and things like that. And it's literally just this drab little dentist office place on the web. It's kevinreeves.net. It'll forward to my link tree. It's drab. It's whatever. I have no frills. There you are. You can hit me up and contact me there as well. And there you have it.
Are you still teaching with IC Music?
I am.
That's awesome. Can you give everyone like a quick description of IC Music and what you guys do?
Yeah, so it's a company that does a lot of music tech instruction from a blindness perspective. We've got Reaper courses, Pro Tools, Logic. We've got this amazing team of people that are just in their element. I mean, these guys are
awesome guys.
There's no need. People don't have to stay in their lanes because they're carving them so well. And it's like this beautiful tapestry of things that they're teaching and things that our folks are being able to do because of what these guys do. And we've got DJ and we've got, I'm the Pro Tools guy, but it's funny. I teach Pro Tools, but 90% of my recording time isn't Reaper anymore.
What's really funny about you and Pro Tools, Nate Kyle, he's a name that kind of floats around the blind community. He's my boss up here in Alaska. Really, really good friend. He actually learned how to use Pro Tools from you.
Was it a one-on-one thing or was it like
it was some of your like tutorials that you put out? And stuff like that. It was like documentation.
You know what? I'm glad, and buddy, you know what? I hope you're doing well in Pro Tools land. I'm not. Mine is severely broken right now. This is literally, I should be fired. I am having a hell of a time. And this is why I tell you, this is why I say to people, look, the job of an instructor is not to know everything. That's the worst thing for an instructor to do. Yes. The job of the instructor is to be able to take the stuff that's there and communicate it. And I have 15 years of experience, but now I can go back to my students and go, look, right now my Pro Tools is broken. And so I'm going through a process of trying to fix it. And I can teach them how I'm trying to figure it out because I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
So I can be like, look, you're going to deal with this sometimes. And I've talked about my little Pro Tools woes with my folks. And I'm like, here's what I'm figuring out. And it has to do with Ventura. And it's a weird thing. But yeah, we're I hope you're doing better than I am, Nate, because Ventura broke it.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I gotta say, just you amaze me, and I'm really just grateful to call you a friend. And I know a lot of people, especially a lot of the new blind students that are coming up and learning music and getting into Logic, Reaper, Pro Tools, and other various digital audio workstations. There's resources out there. There's plenty. You want to check out the Reaper accessibility wiki. Go check out IC Music. What's the website? icmusic.com?
Or well, I think they now have com. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go give Byron a shout if he wants some training.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want to go, Reaper, Logic, Pro Tools, whatever. There's a thing there, a curriculum to fill your deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Kevin, this has been a pleasure, man. And let's do this again. Just to chit chat and talk shit.
I appreciate you, man. And let's when you're ready to make your record, just holler when you want tambourine or something on it. I'm in.
Hey, you know it, man. And actually, speaking of that, before we end the show, so my last metal album, I just finished. I put the stamp on it, and for my next record, I'm actually walking away from Logic and using Reaper for this next record. I want to try it. I really, because I've been learning how to use it. I got native instruments all set up. I got Waves access, so I got all the Waves plugins that I need. And just having all the tools, and I love the intuitive design. It's so different, you know what I mean? And I've been using Reaper for years, but not as a primary.
And the only reason I say good is not because I dislike Logic, because I love Logic. I can't use the thing. This is what's beautiful about humanity is I think Logic is brilliant. It is my brain, and I can't use it. I don't use it, but I think it's brilliant. It just doesn't work for my brain. I get lost.
Yeah.
I bet you need 6-8 months worth of work and I'll probably have something going, but I don't like the idea of editing audio in Logic. I would prefer making beats in it. But to see you go, well, I've been using Logic and I'm really good in it, but now I'm going to go to Reaper. You've just jangled the creative process to where you're going to hit the wrong button one day and it's going to booger up a performance. And it's going to be the happy accident that you go, oh my God. Well, and I wouldn't have made that mistake.
Well,
and
what I really like,
reversal thing now just occurred, right? You know,
yeah. What I really like about Reaper, and it's the little things, right? It's usually always the little things. What I really like about Reaper that's, in my opinion, a little easier to do than Logic is when you're doing individual track edits and you want to place automated effects on different items. That's so much fucking easier to do in Reaper than it is Logic. Because with Logic, you have to split it, then you have to bounce it to a new track, you know, do all of these extra little ditties, which is fine if you don't mind the workflow. But in Reaper, you don't have to add those additional components.
I thought Logic had like a transform menu that when you split an item on the waveform, you could go into like the transform and pull up a plugin. Maybe you can't because
if you can, then I don't know about it.
That would be interesting to
I'm going to look into that.
To check because there's always the one thing hidden inside of Logic or Reaper that one of us didn't know it could do. Like somebody showed, like John Lucas showed me something on WhatsApp that's been there forever. And I didn't know it was there. And it was it was either an Osara thing or it was an SWS thing. I didn't know it was there. How do I, we don't know all these things. And so it might be something hanging out in that transform menu. It's like, in Reaper, you can do the input effects or the effects chain on the item, or in Pro Tools, they call it audio suite. In SoundForge, it was where you highlighted the bit of audio and then you went to the effects menu and went down to delay or something. Right?
Everybody remember SoundForge?
It's like you're baking that effect into the waveform, Yeah. Logic's got a thing, but Reaper is very easy to do as well with that. And
it's lightweight too. It's a very lightweight program on the CPU. So it's just very resourceful.
I recorded vocals on a Microsoft Surface 3 with 4 gigs of RAM hooked into a. Actually, it was the device you now have, the one that
the 18920.
The one that I think you blew one up on, and I blew another one up on it. But
yeah, no, for sure.
That's why I gave you a deep discount on it. The 18920 going into the Surface, and it was some of the worst lagginess I've ever experienced. But it worked.
But you still got it to work.
I was able to get an AirGigs client done on a damn Surface with hardly any RAM.
Yeah, there you go. Well, man, let's close up shop. We could be sitting here for hours. I already know that we could. But thanks, everybody. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe and definitely leave some feedback and leave a review on Apple. Appreciate having Kevin Reeves in the Tony Gephardt Show studio today. And we'll be sure to have Kevin back in to hang out. Kevin, thanks a lot, man.
Appreciate you, man. Have a great night.
All right.
God waiting on the world to change.